this is about don't work harder.
I am a workaholic. I can hyper-focus and work so hard when I love what I'm doing. Entrepreneurship is so hard. So I'd lost most people. You can't control what you can't control. So I don't want to put my effort into thinking about that. Everyone's going to understand. A few people won't. Trust isn't something that you can get just by working hard. You need to do stuff repeatedly, get known for it, get known for being good at it, get known for being nice in that arena, actually provide value.
You're about to meet Francesca James, or Frankie as she is known, and Frankie is the founder of Ideas Forum, who you might best know for the Great British Entrepreneur Awards and Ideasfest. This is the story of how, bearing in mind the space that she's in, she had to make a huge pivot during the pandemic, the huge stress and impact that had on her, how she saw her team leaving, and the decision that she made when she created Ideasfest, and how despite its success in its first year in 2023, it was another 2 years before she brought the festival back. Welcome to Don't Work Harder, the business show brought to you by Atomic, and I'm your host, Suman Randhawa. This is the show where we teach you how you can take huge leaps in your business, not just by working harder, but by working braver. Frankie, lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, this is going to be a really interesting conversation because our ethos is about don't work harder. It's really apparent to me that you are someone who has really grafted to build some incredible businesses. So you're the founder of Ideas Forum, which obviously you know, but for the benefit of our audience. And actually events feels like it's the space that you are most well known. Going all the way back to 2012, I would love to know, when I say to you that this is about don't work harder, how much does that feel like that is reflective of what you have done to build the business that has the reputation that it has now?
I did laugh when I realised I was going on a podcast called Don't Work Harder.
Okay.
I read all the books. I take all the advice. Of course, I've read, how to do whatever the theory is around being able to get your work done in 2 days and, shutting off at 9 o'clock and not having your phone in your bedroom and all that. I would be completely lying if I said I was any good at taking that advice. So I love what I do. I can hyper focus and work so hard when I love what I'm doing. So it's taken me a while to really carve out the bits of the business that I want to grab and run with, and the bits that I am absolutely useless at. But I am a workaholic, but it's very hard because the lines are often blurred between work and play. Yeah. When you're building community and you're spending time with people who are business acquaintances, but also friends, when does it stop being work? When does it start being play? So there's that as well. And I have absolutely no idea if I answered your question, but I don't think I'm very good at not working harder. Yeah.
And it's evident to me that you are somebody who has worked hard. And I really appreciate that honesty around, for some very successful entrepreneurs, and actually I've had Daniel Priestley say the same, there isn't this line where work stops and then play starts, because it becomes a part of your life. But if you were to think about the characteristics that has meant that you have created events that are called the Glastonbury for business, the Oscars for the entrepreneurial space, and we'll obviously speak about what those businesses are. You run Ideasfest, which had around 4,000 attendees last year. I was there. I do not do festivals. I do not do the cold, and I had the time of my life. So you have created something so special that has huge names that are also attracting people. There has to be something more than you just working hard that is creating something as brilliant as all of that.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. I think that we have been very intentional, and actually, we're intentional now. I don't know if we knew we were being intentional back in the day. Yeah. But we've been very authentic, and we've been very purist about the community and the relationships that we're building. And we could have taken some significant sponsorship deals, some significant offers that didn't feel aligned with what we were building, didn't feel like they served our community, felt like, maybe it was let's get involved with what Frankie's doing and use it as a way to polish the brand halo.
Mm-hmm.
We've never taken all of those opportunities. We've been, we've loved and we've respected the community that we're building. And so I think that has helped us to be where we are today. I think that when you do that year after year, it sort of compounds and people trust you and they know that we are the good guys, I guess. There's entrepreneurship is so hard. So we want to create spaces where people feel safe, they feel supported, they feel listened to, they feel like it's going to be a value for their time. And we've done that, and we've done it for a long, long, long time. And so I think that trust isn't something that you can get just by working hard.
Yeah.
You need to do stuff repeatedly, get known for it, get known for being good at it, get known for being nice in that arena, actually provide value. And I would say it's that, along with working very, very hard.
Talking about the awards, what was the moment when you felt like this is something that is really respected? Because there's so many awards in the space.
Yeah, we're really aware that there's a lot of awards in space, and it's, it's a conversation that comes up time and time again when we're talking to potential partners and stuff like that. So when we realised we had something, you might be able to detect there's a Welsh accent from me, right? And some people tell me I don't sound Welsh at all, and some people tell me that I sound like I should be on Gavin and Stacey. So I'm somewhere in the middle, right? And we're still based in Cardiff. Most of our work is all around the UK, but what we realised is that why does everything cool, big and sexy have to happen in London? Okay. So it might have been about 2016, we took the Great British Entrepreneur Awards on a regional roadshow. And I mean, literally the first year we did that, I drove a white van with our set around 10 cities in the UK.
Wow.
It was really grafting. But we sort of took our concept to people that was close, in an area that was close to their home. And I think that gave us a lot of goodwill. It allowed us to meet loads of people that we wouldn't have naturally met at the events that everybody, the same faces go to in London or what have you. So we got to meet the coolest people in Scotland and Northern Ireland and the Northeast and the Southwest. I think that really helped us to capture the imagination of a wider audience, and to get people to really believe in what we were doing and to help share it into their networks and their communities. And the only reason that we don't still do that regional roadshow now is because the pandemic threw a spanner in the works. It was literally looking at our event schedule and thinking, my goodness me, the thought of going on a 10 event roadshow when events are only just becoming legal. And when I'm in Wales and my lockdown rules are very often different to my family elsewhere, was just terrifying. So that's when we decided to make it one big event. But I think that it was that regional outreach that for me really showed us the potential, because there's amazing businesses starting up in every single corner of the UK, right? And it's our duty and our responsibility, and what we love doing is recognizing them, giving them a platform.
And how did you get noticed or become known when you were still doing the regions? So before it became national, how did you, because you wouldn't have had contacts in every city. So what was most effective for you in making sure that we're getting on the radar and that people are paying attention to these awards? This episode is sponsored by Videonary, the brand new video tool which is designed to help create business videos that feel simple and not stressful. With Videonary, you've got an all-in-one tool that will allow you to script, edit, plan, and even record all your videos in one place without the need for some huge big production setup. And if you're anything like me, video content can take me hours to produce. No longer needs to be the case. And if you want to be one of the first to access Videonary when it launches later this month, head to videonary.com to join the waitlist and for some early access bonuses. So what was most effective for you in making sure that we're getting on the radar and that people are paying attention to these awards?
Yeah. LinkedIn outreach, finding people who had communities or had authority or had success and people looked up to in particular regions. And we hosted, I think this is back 2016, 2017, we hosted, 30 dinners, in lots of different cities across the UK, just bringing 10 people together, nothing fancy. It was just bringing 10 people together saying, this is what we're doing. Will you back us? We don't need anything from you, except for if you like what we're doing, share it with the people in your network. And that was how, we got the word out. But we were very lucky in that my background's in publishing, and that sounds far more glamorous than it was. It's an online publication that was aimed at an SME audience. And what we always said that we did is we did the Huffington Post model before they did, just nowhere near as well. Yeah. So what that meant is that instead of having 100 journalists working in the business, we had 100 virtual contributors. And because that publication launched in the early stages of the internet, amazing people were looking for spaces to share their voice and their thoughts and build out their online presence. Yeah. So it was like, I guess, influencer stuff before influencer was even a word that was in my vocabulary or orbit. And so what we were able to do is be first to get in with a lot of those really interesting people. And like I said earlier, it's then about investing in those relationships, helping people out when they need something from you. And word of mouth and goodwill, they've really helped us grow. It's not flashy marketing campaigns. It's one person tells 2 or 3 people about us and you've trebled the size of your audience.
And what are you really good at then? So in terms of, we talked about grafting, you just described yourself being in that van, driving around the country. I remember seeing you at Ideasfest, and of course you've got a huge team there, but you were also there kind of keeping an eye on things, being stopped, speaking to people. When you think about what you're brilliant at, because there is something that you'll be brilliant at that has allowed you to build names of that, of that high level, what would you say it is?
Yeah, well, firstly, we don't have a very big team. So, people get surprised. I think at the time Ideasfest was on, there were 8 of us. If you ask what I'm great at,
I'd love to know.
I think it's sales, but I want to kind of put a bracket around that. Oh, I don't know if that's the right terminology. Sales is people.
Yeah,
right? People is relationships. Yeah. My very first job, if you can call it that, was going into the South Wales valleys, doing door-to-door sales on 100% commission, and I stuck it out for 1.5 years. I realised very quickly I was very good at talking to that person and being able to relate to them when they open the door, depending on, the image, the photo that I saw on their wall, or are they a flamboyant person with all colour in their house? I can relate to them on that. Are they wearing something cool? Have they got a dog? Is their house beautiful? Like whatever, I would always be able to find something in common, whether you are working in, I don't know, one type of area or a completely different. And I think that that's translated into, when I'm talking to partners, when I'm talking to potential speakers to get them involved. I just like people.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget that's ultimately what sales is. It's about being great at building relationships. Yeah. Because when we think about that very first Ideasfest that you said your keynote speaker was, he was high profile then, right? What was the leverage that you used to get him on, and how did you get noticed?
Well, Steven actually won an award with us at the Great British Entrepreneur Awards. So I think it was 2017.
Yeah. So actually, again, before he was a household name.
Oh, yeah,
really?
Yeah, way before. Yeah, way before.
Interesting.
Him and Dom, Dom McGregor, they won Young Entrepreneur of the Year in Manchester. So it was quite, it was some time ago. I think it was 2017, without looking on my phone, but we can fact check.
Around then.
We'll put a disclaimer if not, but it was around then. And that was these super early stages of them building Social Chain. So, we had a connection. And look, I think I was actually at an event that he was speaking at last night, and he's gone on to build incredible businesses, incredible brand. And so we knew that the timing was absolutely spot on for us to get Steven to come along. And the one thing that he said on camera, it's the Glastonbury for business. If you can, if you get a chance to come
so weird
along.
that I can remember it. Yeah.
And so that's magic, that shows the marketing prowess that he's got, because he's given me so many amazing sound bites that I cling on to.
Yeah. And when we think about this awards model, and I want to go on to how it changed, but when we think about the awards model that you have, how did you decide whether this was something that people get nominated, whether you enter? Like, what was the criteria for you when you were creating the first set of awards? Because you've also got Startup Awards and what's the other?
UK Fast Growth Index and the Great British Industry Awards as well.
Okay, so it's actually 4.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that we wanted entrepreneurs to nominate themselves because we wanted them to be engaged. And if they're not engaged, if somebody else nominates them and they're not really that interested in it, or they don't feel connected to it, they're unlikely to show up to our events. And I don't just mean the awards, the shiny awards evening with that. I mean, we do dinners for 12 entrepreneurs in a particular sector or a particular region.
Yes.
And
is that, what do you call that? Is that ideas table?
Yes. Yeah. So I adopted the Daniel Priestley model and sent out an email and basically said, hey, I'm thinking about doing some dinners around the UK. Does anyone want to join our ideas tables waitlist? And we had about 2,000 people sign up in 24 hours. So we did one big launch event where we took over a restaurant of celebrity chef Aldo Zilli.
Yeah.
I think that was last year. Yeah, it was last year.
And
it was amazing.
This is only last year. Okay.
Yeah, that was only last year. And I will be completely honest, I've not done another one since.
Okay.
It's not for not wanting to. It's just the festival has taken a lot. Yeah.
And so the awards is that for all the 4 awards that you do, the model that you have taken is you have to apply. And is it a pay to apply?
No, it's completely free to enter.
So there's no barrier to entry.
No barrier to entry as well. I think that what I encourage people is that awards isn't always about the end goal as well. Sometimes it's about taking that moment of reflection to sit down and to answer questions that make you think about how far have I come, where am I going? That's a useful practice in itself.
Yeah.
So we get thousands of entries. The biggest year we've had for Great British Entrepreneur Awards is 5,500.
Wow.
Which sounds amazing, but it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But what we did, and I think we started it about 4 years ago, because we were being known for being a community and not just an awards, and people were engaging with us throughout the year and getting in touch when they needed help, or they could see we were connected to someone, they wanted an intro, this, that, and the other. We started to think, well, how can we make this better? How can we ask some interesting questions that a business isn't going to be judged on as part of the application process, that are entirely optional? So, when you enter the awards, there's, I think it's 4 or 5 standard questions, in a nutshell, where have you been? Where are you going? And, a bit more detail about your story.
Yeah.
That's what the judges look at.
Okay.
But what we realized is, if we asked you, are you raising investment over the next 12 months? If you are, do you feel ready to raise investment? Are you trading overseas? If you're not, do you want to be trading overseas? Do you use AI in your business? Was your mother or father an entrepreneur? Who do you admire the most?
Interesting. Okay.
What that means is that, we can look at the data and we can make sure that if we know that we've got 500 businesses that applied this year that are looking to raise between £1 and £5 million and they don't feel investment ready, well, let's connect them with the training and the support.
Yeah.
And then let's try and get them in front of the right investors. Let's use that information, use that data to do more and do it better.
What takes the most amount of your time from those, and what brings you in the majority of the revenue in terms of your business model, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, we've completely reassessed over the last couple of months, actually. This year, last year's Ideasfest was our best yet.
Okay.
And the thing I take so much comfort in, the weather was the worst yet, right? So when we launched Ideasfest, it was an experiment. It then became something we were really passionate about because my team love festivals. I love festivals. I love music. I love people. I love colour, so it was kind of like, this is a dream. We always saw it as almost maybe a bit of an event that doesn't have to make any money, can wash its face and can support the community and can support and, be marketing for all the other stuff that we're doing.
Okay.
But it's grown year on year, and now it's roughly 50% of our business. So you look at we've got 4 awards programs, and then we've got Ideasfest.
Goodness. Okay.
So and the potential's really significant. So what takes most of my time, I'd say at the moment, is Ideasfest, because my team are really good at making sure the awards runs like a smooth machine. We know what we're doing. We've done it, some of them 4 years, some of them 12 years. The Fast Growth Index has been running in Wales for 25 years or 27 years, and we've taken it nationally for the last 2. So Ideasfest is new. It needs time, care, attention, innovation, thinking outside the box, new relationships, more marketing, different marketing. So I would say Ideasfest takes the vast majority of my time at the moment.
And when you think about, so you launched it during the pandemic, or so is it 2021?
We launched it in 21. We ran the first event in 22 in August.
So in 2022, and that's not at the site that you are now?
No, the first time we ran Ideasfest. So my thought process was, I have absolutely no idea how to run a festival.
Yeah.
I don't know how many toilets I need. I don't know what electricity I need. I don't know what signage I need on the roads. Oh my God, that is a mountain to climb, and I don't have very long to do it. So what we did is we worked with an existing festival, and we piggybacked on their infrastructure. So they put in all the infrastructure. We essentially moved in for 48 hours before their guests arrived. And it allowed us to test the concept, because the very first time we did it, we were emailing our community that, we'd built up over many, many years with no photos, no testimonials. We were in this weird world where people hadn't been to events in a long time. And I was like, hey, come to Hampshire, outside, Steven Bartlett speaking. There'll be some cool people, some hay bales, some deck chairs, ice cream and beer. Come along. And about 1,200 people did.
For an event that has been so successful in a short amount of time, not diminishing from the fact that there's a huge amount of work and effort that goes into it. What made you decide to take a break after the success of the very first one? So you had the community. I mean, if that was even the size of your email list then, the fact that, 10% of people were like, I'm coming, and bought a ticket is obviously a huge, ROI on that. So why did you then decide the following year to pause before you brought it back in 2024, correct? Or 2025?
What year are we now?
I think we're in 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Year 1, 2022, 2023 break, back 24.
Right.
Back. So a couple of things. We decided that Ideasfest had something. It was special.
See that.
Yeah, 100%. And it needed to take place in its own site. And it needed that because while it was great piggybacking on the infrastructure of another event, it's like putting a round peg in a square hole. So if you're putting a conversation with Steven Bartlett, or, we had Simon Squibb interviewing John Caldwell on stage. If they're doing so on a stage that's designed for a 6-piece rock band, and that, the whole environment is designed for that, it just doesn't feel as perfect as it can be. The stage naturally is up there, so you feel disconnected from the speakers. And so we knew we wanted our own space. We wanted to find the perfect space. We didn't want it to be in central London, as some people were saying, because we wanted people to really step away and feel like they were in and immersed in this.
For a festival, yeah.
100%. And the time after COVID was so much harder for us than COVID itself. And I think that's because we managed to survive through COVID because we had a great community. We had great partners that continued to want to work with us. We were able to pivot quickly and do digital stuff. We were able to take advantage of the government's furlough scheme. You know, it was okay considering it could have been absolutely, you know, a catastrophe.
Yeah.
After COVID, I think that I kind of was like, whew, we survived. And you know what happens? It's kind of almost like when you stop, when you take a holiday, you get ill, right?
Yeah,
it was
always.
almost like that. It was like, breathe. And then I feel like everything that I'd been holding on to for that horrible, tormenting period of COVID kind of got to me. Coupled that with the fact that everybody in my team left. But I think it was because, you know, you experience a completely different reality when you're on
100%.
furlough,
Yeah.
you're at home,
Yeah.
and then it's going back. Do you want to be in events? You know, you maybe question it. Do I want to
Definitely.
travel around
Yeah.
and do this, that, and the other? So it was almost a 3-week period where one person left and then someone else. And they'd all been with us for 7 or 8 years.
Sure.
So I don't think it's because I'm a horrible employer or anything like that.
They say it was the, I can't remember what the period they were calling it, the great escape, or, you know, I mean, I left corporate in that year, you know, the year after pandemic. We have a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
So yeah, so there's huge change going on.
Yeah.
And
so I'd lost most people. And so I was doing so many things and, you know, spinning so many plates. And we had venues that we were ready to go into. We had everything stacked up. We'd even sold some early bird tickets, this, that, and the other. And I remember clear as day just having this feeling of it might not be as good as it can be. And year 2 is like, people came in year 1 with the unknown. They're now going to trust us to take it up a level. I don't know if I've got the capacity and the energy to do that in such a short period of time.
okay.
So I feel so lucky in my life that I've got some amazing people who are far more successful than I am and very incredible entrepreneurs in different sectors. I phoned about 4 of them and I said, this is my predicament. And they said, don't do it. Don't put yourself through it. You'll damage yourself. You'll damage your team. You might damage your reputation. Everyone's going to understand. A few people won't. And deal with them. But think about the long term. Don't just think about, you know, what does Ideasfest look like in 3 years? And if you do a really rubbish one, you know, and I don't think it would have been rubbish. I think it would have been all right. I don't think I would have been all right.
How did you keep that momentum to ensure, because actually that's then a longer time period of selling tickets. Mm-hmm. What did you do?
Well, we went off, obviously, when we knew we weren't doing it.
Right.
We said, we're not going to sell tickets if we know we're not doing it. We'll communicate with the people that have already bought.
Yeah.
We'll offer them an opportunity to stay in and their tickets are still valid. And you know, most people took us up on that. And we're like, look, we like what you're doing. We rate you. We want to support you. We love the community. And I think that that's the point. When I talk about community, we're not just popping into someone's inbox 3 times a year to try and flog them an event ticket.
Yeah.
We are creating spaces and opportunities for people. And some people just get our emails and read them and might like them, might not like them, you know, might engage with them, might not. The people that get the most from what we do really lean into it. And increasingly we're finding more and more people are leaning into it. And that might mean just, I don't know, engaging with us, because then we get to know who you are. And then we will meet you at an event and you won't feel like a stranger. And then when you need help, I'll put the face to the name and I'll be able to try and think of somebody that might be able to help you, whether that's a conversation, whether that's something that could materially change or advance your business, or, you know, whether that's just someone to listen, right?
And did you communicate to the community, to your audience, that there was a pause? Like, what did that communication look like for you?
Gosh, I mean, I can't remember the detail, but we would have been as honest as we knew at that time, right? So I think it was, we will be back. Got a few things I need to work out, but we're going to come back and we're going to look after you. And we want you to continue being part of this because you believed in us from the early days. So I think it was just being honest, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't polished. I don't think there wasn't like a corporate kind of spiel.
Yeah. And when you were just talking about the event, and it's that you're talking about an outside event, from somebody who has no experience of running festivals, I would imagine the weather would be probably one of the worst things that could happen. However, once that's happened, and it's still a huge success, not only was I there, but I also saw I saw all of the content afterwards, so I know it was a success, and actually you've told me it was. Once that's happened, what changes for you as someone who, you have this fear, then that fear happens, then what happens? Does the bar get moved to something else, or does that mean you relax even more?
I can't relax until I do this. Touch wood. Okay.
Okay.
Anything can happen with events. You know, I almost don't over worry myself about it, because you just never know. You know, we were running an event. It wasn't outdoor. We were running an award ceremony where we had 600 people. It was a startup awards. We were at Box Park in Wembley.
Yeah.
We had people queuing.
Okay.
And the Queen died. Right.
And it was announced
after people were in the queue.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Like, there are curveballs that come from all angles. You know, we've had tube strikes, and you're following, and they're on, they're off, they're on. There's negotiation with the unions. They're off, they're on that route. You know, like, there's almost anything can happen, right? So all we can do is communicate as effectively as we possibly can. Make sure the content's good. Make sure the experience is good. You can't control what you can't control. So I don't want to put my effort into thinking about that too much. And it is an outdoor event. It's a risk, but Ideasfest would not work if we picked that up and tried to put it in, you know, a conference hall. It wouldn't feel the same
vibe. Yeah.
You know, I've even thought, could we put it in a football stadium? So you're on grass. It wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's the speakers loved the rain, right? Yeah. Because their talks filled up.
Yeah. Yes.
We're British, right? Which means that
we're used to this.
We're used to it. And we can talk about it.
Yes.
So if I'm rushing with you as the rain starts coming down and we dive into, you know, we had a structure called the Magic Teapot.
Yeah.
We run into there.
I spent lots of time in there. It was lovely.
So I've got such an easy opener to you to say, oh my goodness me, that, you know, that's a hell of a rainstorm. We like talking about the weather. So.
And it actually created lots more conversations. You're right, because you're running into the tents, and then you're going to speak to the person next to you.
Yeah.
So with that, what have you developed as an entrepreneur as the unpredictable happens?
I'm very calm in a crisis.
Have you always been?
Yeah, and I didn't really know why. I wasn't sure if there was something wrong with me, but I got a recent ADHD diagnosis, and apparently that is part of it, right? I think that you can only worry about the things that you can control. Yeah. And actually, most things are figure outable, you know, and if you can ask for help. And I feel very, very lucky that I built up a network where if I don't know the answer, I probably know someone that does, or someone that's faced a catastrophe 10 times the size of what I'm, you know, dealing with. So I tend not to sweat the small stuff. But that said, detail's important, right? So it's sort of that fine line. But I think if you get so het up about things that might happen or might not happen, or you really panic in the face of a challenge, well, if you do, events aren't for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's the wrong industry. Yeah. And what did you do? So it's actually reminding me of, and this will probably tell people's age, but, you know, it reminds me of when Diana died. It was that feeling like you should do something, or you should stop doing something. When you're in that situation, and obviously, you know, it's huge news, the Queen had died. Clearly it had been announced, which is how you knew. What did you feel like you guys should be doing, and what did you do?
Well, we had a good idea quite a lot earlier on in the day before it was in the news. So again, people that I knew that worked in media had been in touch to say there's whispers of this, and you know that something is happening. So it was a few hours before, but there were definitely murmurs. It was too late for us to cancel. There were literally people there, you know, sort of about to hand over their tickets to walk through the door. Because obviously I know a lot of events the next day cancelled and or postponed or what have you. So we just thought, look, these are young startup businesses. They're businesses in their first 3 years of trading. They're here to celebrate their achievements. Yeah. We should respect that, and we should respect that they've taken time out of their day and their busy week to make the effort to come to this award ceremony, and they put an application in, and this is their moment. So, I think we dealt with it in the only way that we could. We were respectful. We acknowledged it.
So you did acknowledge
it. Of course, yeah. I mean,
would have been strange not to, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. And it's a funny one. Different people feel different things, and you've just got to be respectful of that.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And when you make these decisions, because you've talked a lot about we, and you talked about furlough, so that gives me the idea that there is a team. There is a team here. How many people are involved in making those, those final decisions, signing off on the final thing that you should do?
I think we're a small business, so ultimately that would probably fall to myself or Dullan, who's my partner, my co-founder. But my team are very good at making decisions in the areas that they operate in.
Yeah.
And actually, it's something that I want to 2026. I want them to feel more and more comfortable with doing that, and for that remit to expand for them. And because very often when they'll ask for my opinion, they've got a better idea or a better thought. I'm very much a generalist. I am not an events expert. I am not a operations expert. I know a bit about a lot, but I don't know a lot about every single bit. I think even though it's hard to know what the right answer is all the time, but I think you just have to think, do I feel comfortable in that I am making the right decision for other people? And for people that are trusting us, and for people that are engaged with what we're doing. That's it, really.
And like you said, sometimes there isn't one decision. It's just making what you think is the right one at that time.
Yeah. And two, Steven Bartlett said it at an event yesterday, two things, I think, what did he say? He said it in a far more eloquent way than me. Two even opposing ideas can be correct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what we have learned in running events is that you cannot please everyone. So whatever decision we make, whether that's where we place the bar, or I don't know what color the cups are, or I don't know how high the stage is, someone will love it and someone will hate it. So you cannot please everyone. You have to just make decisions in good faith that you are doing the right thing. And for us, that's the right thing for our business. And that was sort of why we paused Ideasfest for that 1 year. But then it's also, are you doing it in the right way for the people that you're serving? And if you can comfortably say yes and justify that if someone questions you, this is why I did this, and be honest.
And with revenue streams, so you were saying you don't have to pay to enter the awards, and is that all 4 of your awards? Yeah. And the ticket to go to the festival, to Ideasfest, is accessible, particularly for people who are in the entrepreneurial space. So what is predominantly then your revenue streams? What drives revenue for you?
For us, it's partnerships and sponsorships.
Yeah.
We're also looking at how we can provide more value for our community, month on month. Looking at sort of a paid for light level membership option that will include access and opportunity. Because people come away from Ideasfest saying, this is great, when's the next thing? And, the next thing, if it's a physical event, certainly if it's an Ideasfest, my goodness me, I can't imagine wanting to do more than one of those,
sure.
Particularly in the UK anyway. So that's how we're going to develop additional revenue streams. And our community, because we asked it at the point of application for our awards, would you like to join a paid for community that will do this, this and this for you? We've got the data to tell us that it's what people want.
Right.
And we've got now the reputation that's starting to build that means that partners are knocking on our door rather than us having to go out and convince them that we're slightly different from other awards.
Yeah.
Or that a festival in a business setting is a good idea. So we our reputation now, we're starting to get approached, which is wonderful. So ticket sales never really make a huge amount of money because, the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, it's more expensive than I'd like it to be. But my goodness me, if you see the bill that we get from running it where we run it on Park Lane, it's astronomical. It's eye-watering. There's no margin there, right?
So that's a really big overhead, just having the venue.
Oh, massively.
Because of course it's a high-end venue, right?
I think a lot of people sometimes think that when they go to an event, they are paying for the food on their plate.
Yeah.
And they don't realize the level of security, administration, support staff, print, hosts, trophies, AV, all of that stuff comes at an enormous expense. And a festival similar, right? And like I said before, we want to put our audience in touch with the right people. But it's really important to us that that's done in an authentic way. So, like I said, the reason that we've been working so hard on our data and our knowledge of that community is so that I can tell you about certain service providers that I know that you are likely to be interested in.
Yeah.
That we are confident that are great.
Yeah.
Because we know them or our community, so you will never sign up to our mailing list and get emails from me trying to sell you something that we don't love or trust or know someone that loves or trusts. And in an ideal world, as our data gets more sophisticated, I will be able to give you what you want when you want it. And so to me, we're happy, you're happy, partner's happy. That's the ideal model for us to grow and where we're going to. Well, where we are, but where we're making better every year that we enrich our data.
And how and when do you take time in the business to decide what, because that feels really strategic, which I love, and it's obviously identifying that there's some gaps here. There is a need. So what do you do in order to decide what the next step is? Do you have strategy meetings? Do you guys regularly?
Yes. I mean, my business partner is my partner.
Yeah.
Right.
I say yeah because that's a level of research I do. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yes, of course.
There's never a time where we're not talking about it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we're talking about the detail and we're probably very boring because we're talking about, I don't know, a welcome email sequence for new people that join or how an event's going to look or what have you. But, when we make ourselves do it, we strategize over dinner or in the pub or on a dog walk or on the beach. We're going away actually on Saturday and we're away for 4 days and he knows I'm an absolute workaholic.
Yeah.
But we will have time and space to think.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that.
And what's the next biggest challenge that you think could be something that you're going to have to face, and how will you take steps to overcome it?
I think it's growing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be our biggest challenge. Right now, like I said, we're a small team. We do have ambitions to grow this community, to do far more than just the events that we're doing. And to do that, we're going to need more revenue, more people. And with that comes challenges. So I think the other challenge is making sure that we ride the AI wave, but doing so in a way that feels really authentic to our business and really benefits what our strategy and what our mission is, and isn't just how can we bolt in AI for the sake of AI? What can we use? How can we use AI to take us somewhere 2 years quicker than we would have otherwise? And I think there's such an exciting opportunity there.
Yeah. And I think I've heard this publicly, so I'm assuming it's okay to talk about. Wait till you hear what it is. So in 2024, you took on investment. Was that intentional? And how has it changed what you are able to do as a business and where the future of the business is?
Yeah, so my investor is somebody that's come through our rewards programs actually.
From your awards, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had a really successful exit. He was looking at philanthropy. He loved the entrepreneur community. He loved what we were doing, really believed in it, had seen the benefit firsthand, had a very, very successful exit, and wanted to support us. And, the thing with events is there comes a point, we'd added Ideasfest, new venue. We had the Great British Industry Awards. The problem with events is that all of your costs come in one bulk, and then all of your, your revenue with the exception of sponsor. Well, it's all a bit lumpy and bumpy, you know, you get your sponsorship deal in, but ticket wise, you know, it trickles over 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So he came on board. And what I love about the way he came on board was because he just believes in what we're doing.
Right.
So it was a non-traditional, you know, I wasn't going out with my pitch deck.
Yeah.
Trying to sell, you know, the hockey stick to anyone. I got to know him and said, this is what we're doing and this is what we're going to be looking for. And he said, I believe in you and I believe in what you're doing. And I've seen firsthand how it works and benefits entrepreneurs. Let me in.
Became like a no-brainer then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frankie, believe it or not, we've been speaking for quite some time. So
okay.
as we start, I don't feel like we've come to the end of the conversation, but I feel like we've come to the end of this chapter of the conversation that we've spoken about. But if there was one thing that you would like to have spoken about that I haven't asked you yet, what would it be that you think is important to share when we think about your mission of building a business and what the future looks like for you?
I'm going to say, I'm really cautious that it doesn't sound like an advocate for what I'm doing, because there are other people doing amazing community stuff out there.
Yeah.
But the name of this podcast is Don't Work Harder.
Yeah.
And therefore I cannot place enough emphasis on getting to know great people, because they will help you in ways that are absolutely immeasurable. It can be as simple as literally somebody in my network pocket dialed me earlier by mistake, but we ended up talking. We had a 2-minute discussion, which I think is going to turn into something so exciting, right? But it's just knowing loads of interesting people, knowing that you can pick up the phone if you have a problem, knowing that you just have people who get it. I'm in a WhatsApp group with loads of female founders and they get it. You know, my friends from school who I love dearly, they don't understand what it's like at the end of the month when you're really stressing because a client hasn't paid and you've got staff to pay and you've got 1,000,001 things on your to-do list and you haven't slept and you're neglecting your relationship and you're not eating healthily. You know, being around people that get it saved me and helped me progress and is what means that the lines are blurred between work and play. And I think if you can do that, it then becomes far more enjoyable as well.
That was super useful. Thank you so much, Frankie. We've got 2 things that we do at the end of every podcast, or we try to. One is I would love to ask you a question. You'll have 60 seconds on the clock.
Oh, goodness me. Okay.
To answer it. But it's going to tie into literally what you've just said. So I promise you it's going to be very easy. So we'll do that one first. You up for it?
Yep.
Great. Okay, good. I'm going to look at my watch so that I can just keep an eye on time. I've got it. So my question is, Frankie, you just shared something there about the value of network and how important it is to kind of keep that network. How does someone who is not well known in the entrepreneurial space get the attention of someone who is? If you had 60 seconds to give advice, what would you say? What are the steps that someone could take?
Okay.
Go.
So I think that actually from my experience, successful entrepreneurs are the most generous. They understand what startup founders, early stage founders, people that are unknown go through. So I would say, firstly, just ask. Secondly, put yourself in the spaces that they're going to be in. Get connected to anyone, even if it's not the person that you're really trying to reach, because you never know when someone's going to be able to get you there. Go out there, talk, make some noise, be helpful to other people, because it does come back around. You know, it could be an introduction, it could be just liking the social media post. Be known for being useful, helpful, supportive, and it'll pay dividends.
Thank you for that, Frankie. Right, one last question to wrap up, if we may, which is, could you tell me, because we always like to know what successful entrepreneurs are doing when they have a moment. What are you watching, listening, and reading right now that we could take some inspiration from? Anything?
Oh gosh. What am I listening to? Okay, so there's an artist that I absolutely adore. Her name's Self-Esteem.
Okay,
very
don't know her.
Female empowerment, amazing. Literally anthems for women of my age.
Self-Esteem.
Yeah,
okay.
love her.
Yeah. Thank you.
What am I reading right now? I've actually got side of my bed. I've got Daniel Priestley's new book,
Yes.
which is I cannot remember the title of it. Please put it below. But it's really, really great. We met at his launch. I'm working my way through reading that. And what else did you say? Watching.
And then, what are you watching?
I don't think I'm watching anything. I really enjoyed The Bear, which
I don't even know The Bear. Where was The Bear?
I think it's on Apple.
Okay.
And it's about a chef, and it's, I think there's chefs are entrepreneurs. They're putting their heart on the line. Their creativity pours out onto the plate, but non-specifically true crime. Obsessed with true crime.
Okay,
documentary.
True crime.
It relaxes me, and I know that probably says a lot about me. But I love it.
You did say you are someone who's quite unflappable, so that kind of does make sense.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think so. Frankie, thank you. I'm so pleased that we got to meet, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and share more of your story with us here.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Isn't that an interesting conversation? I really valued the honesty that Frankie shared, particularly around the fact that actually she does work hard, but clearly what is really evident there is that she has built huge goodwill, and that goodwill has come over time. This is not somebody who is an overnight success. This is someone who has shown huge tenacity. She's very committed to building that entrepreneurial space and building that community. I mean, how many people have we had on that have got an email list of 100,000? But also the fact that it hasn't been smooth sailing. I mean, the pandemic, she said post-pandemic is what nearly broke her, when she realized the impact and the stress of trying to keep going when things were so difficult, and how even when she did something that was really successful with Ideasfest, why it was still the best decision for her and the future of the business to take that 2-year break. So it was really fantastic speaking to Frankie and just hearing about all the incredible work that she does and what the future gets to look like for her. Thanks so much for listening to Don't Work Harder. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share. This show has been brought to you by Atomic, the home of epic business growth. Head to our website at atomic.site to hear more about our business programs and epic events.